Hello, I am Olivia, Senior Bookkeeper and Certified QuickBooks Pro Advisor, and I am the owner of Profits and Books Bookkeeping Services, where we offer bookkeeping services, of course, and marketing services for small businesses. Thank you so much for watching this video, and please like and subscribe and leave your comments so that I can have more ideas of what to talk about and what you think is important as well. So, and of course, like and subscribe and share this video. It would really mean a lot to me. Today, I want to speak about a budget. What is a budget? Why do you need it? Right? Because when you hear about money and saving and planning, the word budget keeps on coming up. And it sounds like the most boring thing to do is to get a budget. And it's not something that when you hear about it, it's not something that you are excited or looking forward to do. So, what is the budget? A budget, it gives you an overview of your finances. To put it in simple terms, it gives you a list of what you owe, which is your debts, what you make, which is your income, what you spend, and that's your expenses. So you need a list and you need amounts, and that is basically your budget. If you want to save or you want your financial position to change, you need to know how much is my debt? How much do I owe? How long will it take for me to finish off this debt? And then what can I then do for me to pay off my debt even faster? So for all of these plans, the budget is the first thing. So how do you draw up a budget? Because it's not something that someone else can do for you. And I know there are lots of apps where they give you how to track your money, and it gets a bit complicated and you feel overwhelmed, and then halfway through you just leave it because it's too much. Sorry. You can also, when you are old school, because these are important little things that we don't mention or talk about, but if you are a pen and paper kind of person, write down, this is who I owe, this is what I owe, this is what I make, and this is what I spend. These are my running costs. Write it down, pen on paper. If you are an app person, do it on an app. If you are a spreadsheet person, do it on your spreadsheet. It doesn't matter where you do it, as long as you do it. And start off with a way that's comfortable for you. One of the reasons why we fail to create a budget is because we want to follow the latest trend, because now we hear apps are the way to go, and now you jump on board to do the app. But you're not an app person, you are pen and paper person. Already you will fall off the bus with the first step. So do what is comfortable and what works for you from the very beginning. So now we have established what is the budget, and also why you need a budget. So now you know what it is and why you need it. But how do you get to the point where you actually sit down and work out your budget? Unfortunately, there's no easy answer to that. Either you would want to do it or you don't. And as long as you don't want to do it, it's not going to happen. So one of the ways to motivate you to actually sit down and to work out your budget is think of the one debt. Think of that one account that it gives you a pain to pay it every single month. And if you can get rid of that debt, if you don't have to pay it anymore, you would feel 100 years younger. Think of what debt that is, which account, whether it's a credit card, a store account, a personal loan, whatever it is. Think about it. And now imagine how you are going to feel when you don't owe a cent on that account. And let that be your motivation to sit down and work out your budget, because once you have your budget, it will force you to look at your expenses. We all think that we don't earn enough money. Our income is not big enough. And most of the times, we are so far from the truth that it's not even funny. It's not about how much you make, it's how much you spend. Unfortunately, a sad reality in South Africa, and it's a reality that a lot of people are living with. The fact that they don't make enough money to even meet the most basic needs. That's a sad fact. And it's an unpleasant reality for many people. But where do you start then? When you make your budget, where do you start? Remember, you must have a goal, a reason for wanting to sit down with your debt and wanting to get rid of your debt, to reduce your expenses. Let that motivate you to draw up your budget. So, the most basic budget is income, expenses, and debts. What's the difference between expenses and debts? The debt are the things or the companies or the people that you owe. It can be your credit card, it can be a personal loan, it can be a store card. Anything that you owe to a service provider or a creditor, that's your debt. Your expenses, it's your food, your electricity, it's your running costs. Those are your expenses, what you need to get through the month. So when you look at your debt and your expenses, most often than not, your debt exceeds your expenses. So if you can reduce your debts, if you can reduce it, you will have more money for your expenses, and your life, your quality of life would improve. So now the three columns: your income, your expenses, and your debts. And when you look at your expenses, ask yourself, what can you reduce? Where can you cut? Because debt is when you enter into a long-term credit agreement. That is your debt. It's what you owe. Your expenses, some of your expenses are non-negotiable. You cannot negotiate on when you have to pay your bond or your rent. Even though your bond is debt, it falls under your essentials, it falls under expenses. So you cannot negotiate on, I don't want to pay debts, I don't want to pay my bond this month, or I don't want to pay my rent this month. What are the non-negotiables that you need to go to pay to make through the month, to survive through the month? So you need to decide that, because that is where you can reduce more often. When you find with your debts, because you have signed for a certain amount, you have agreed to pay a certain amount every month. So you cannot really negotiate that unless you are in quite a fix and you want to reduce your payments. But when it comes to your expenses, that is the one place where you can adjust, where you can change things, where you can reduce your spending. You can, when it comes to food, How much do you spend on food per month? Do you know? How much do you spend on entertainment when you go out to eat? That must all go on your budgets. What is your income? How much do you earn? Do you have any extra income? Do you have any extra money? These are the things. It's your budget is what you have, what is happening right now. That is your budget. When it comes to savings and investment, that is the amount you work towards for the future, right? And part of your budget must be saving, but we have to be realistic. Few people are in a position to save unless, or let me say until, you get to a point where you look at your finances and you take responsibility for your money. There's no quick fix. And too often, we go into debt to want to pay off debt. It doesn't make sense. You're just increasing the burden on yourself. But when you have a budget, you know I'm getting X amount. I'm spending X amount and I'm paying so much. And here is an important thing. There's no formula that's a one size fit all, because the golden amount is you must save 15% of your income every month. Where do you get the 15% from? How is this possible? It's not. If you can even start with 5%, use that. Don't follow the numbers that has been calculated by someone else who doesn't know your situation, because all our situations it's different. What works for me, it might not work for you, and vice versa. So you need to find what works for you, what is realistic for you. And a budget is not a punishment. It's not there to remind you of what you can afford and what you can't afford. A budget is your plan. And for you to stick to the plan, you need motivation. And part of motivation is to reward yourself. What do you do to celebrate when you stick to your budget? What do you do to celebrate the fact that you have a budget? You must still have fun, but the key is make it enjoyable. Make everyone part of the budget. You cannot live in a house of 4 or 5 people and make all the decisions and expect everyone just to fall in line because you now decided we are on a budget. No, make your family part of it. And then people, you will be surprised when you involve your children, how they come up with ideas on how to improve on the budget, where to cut costs. You actually are teaching them awareness of money, the cost of things, taking responsibility and enjoying money. You must enjoy your money. And your budget gives you the freedom and permission to enjoy it, because now you know I have X amount left to spend on entertainment, to spend on food. So now you know that when I spend with an open heart, because I know I have so much for food. And it's okay. I don't have to stress if I spend this, or what am I going to be left with? Well, I still have money left for this, for A or B, C or D. So when you have a budget, it takes that stress away. And listen, you won't get this right the first time. So when you do fall off the wagon, you just dust yourself off and get back on, and then you keep on doing it until it becomes almost automatic, that when you know, oh my gosh, I'm looking at the budget now and I'm close to the danger zone, so I must stop spending, or I must wait until this thing is more affordable, or until it's on special, until I can afford it, or just forget about it. I'm not going to buy it because I don't really need it. Can you see what the process that's beginning? Only with starting a budget, because with a budget you become aware. You become aware of your spending, you become aware of your debts, and it's no longer this load on your shoulders, because now you are actually doing something to get out of debt, to reduce your expenses, to hold on to a little bit more money. And just taking those small little baby steps, it's the beginning of empowerment. It's the beginning of financial freedom. It's the beginning to living a life where you don't have to stress about every cent that you spend. Like I've said earlier, your money, you work hard for it. Even the richest person, they work hard for their money. They work crazy hours. So when you get your money, you must feel free to enjoy it, not in an irresponsible manner or a way that you will regret it afterwards, but you must enjoy it with freedom, with pleasure. It must add value to your life and not stress. And to reach that point, you need a budget, you need a goal, you need a plan, and you need that vision. I am Olivia, and I really thank you for watching this video. Please like and subscribe and share this, and don't forget to leave comments below, and watch out for my other videos where I'll be talking more about savings, investment, inflation, and debts.